Hello. Welcome back to Fresh Orange Podcast. This is episode 5, and this is not a test episode. We're finally doing the real thing now. If you can't see the changes in production quality, it's honestly your fault right now because from test episodes to now, it's insane the jump that I've made. Hope you're having a good week so far. I am having the best week in quite a while because finally I think I'm starting to manage work as well. Like I'm not on the brink of being fired after a few weeks. So that's good to have, right? And also I posted that reel about the letter to the girl that lived here before me, and that received a bunch of attention. I think it's the fourth. The last I checked, it was the fourth most popular thing I've made, uh, even though it's been out for I think three or 4 days now. So that's been nice. Bunch of new people have been following me. So that really helps with the self-esteem thing. Uh, we finally hit 40K as well, so congrats to everyone for that. That's congrats to me for that. uh, Earlier on, when I had that Sylvia Plath reel that went viral, we were getting like 10K every week. So I was posting uh, every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks we were getting 10K new people. So I was just posting a photo with Bisleri, that old joke. So this time I had to do it again, but I decided let's do it with extra virgin olive oil. So maybe we'll build upon that. Who knows? Who knows? If the community so desires, we'll build upon that. We'll see. Uh, I signed up for a marathon, half marathon this time, which would be the longest sort of distance I've run ever. And I think one of the reasons, the main reason for doing this was uh, I have been like, really sort of just working for the past few months, ever since the Sylvia Plath reel did well. So after that, I just really started. It's either been just my job or my sort of content work. So I would like to get back to being physically fit again. I've done two of these actually in the past, like two long distance runs. One of them, both of them were 10Ks. Uh, wait, wait a second. Yeah. Anyway, I've done two 10K races in the past, and these are just participation trophies. I'm just showing off right now. I've done two of these in the past, and they are the only sort of sustainable way that I've found to actually stick to like a fitness routine or something. Because if I'm just going out on a run, or if I'm just sort of going out lifting weights and stuff, eventually I I don't know if you get this, but my brain is like, why are we doing this? Like there's no end in sight. Then so why are we just punishing ourselves every single day? And it's good for you, like exercising is good for you, but if you really think about it, it's not really what you need to do in the moment, right? I would just rather lie down. I'd just rather watch a movie or something, which is way more entertaining and way more important in the short term. So what I've found that actually helps me is setting these sort of goals for myself. And if I know that I have to run this race in 2 months, I will be feared of embarrassing myself on the track itself. So out of that fear of embarrassment, I would just sort of start working out. So if you've been, I don't know, if you've been trying to work out but haven't been able to stick to it, just like register for register for a 10K or something. You should, I mean, a 10K is pretty easy to do right off the bat. You just need like a month of practice is enough. And especially if you are on the younger side, if you're like 22, 23 or less than that, you can probably just build up to it in a month. You will do the race will be very shit. You won't really place in the high top fives or something, most likely. But you will still manage. So if you have fitness goals that you aren't meeting, go for it. maybe go for the one that I registered to. Like, we'll race together. Actually, that would be pretty cool. If a bunch of you want to sign up for it, maybe not the half marathon. If you are already a runner, then maybe a half marathon. Or if you want to sign up for a 10K or 5K, it's going to be in Mumbai in January. So I can leave a link down below. We can all just run together on that marathon. Yeah, so I've done 2 of these in the past, and the first one that I did was I was really lucky to be stupid enough to sort of book my first one in Nainital. Like, it was nowhere close to where I lived, either my hometown or where I live right now. It's just far away. And I decided that I would just go there because it's the mountains. I'll run in the mountains because, of course, I'm an athlete. So I decided that I went for it. And then again, that was the first time that I actually trained for something. And I think that was when I realized that you need to, like, if I have something to be embarrassed about, I can sort of push myself every single day. Or, like, not every single day, of course, but according to a training plan that doesn't burn you out as well. So anyway, I planned for that. I wasn't as well prepared as I should have been, because by the end I was completely gassed out. But still, it was a decent effort, I would say. It was in Nainital, so I went there. I didn't want to book a hotel or something there, so I had planned to stay at a friend's house the night before, and then early in the morning just go to the starting point of the race. But when I got there, I realized that the friend's house was like 3 hours away from the actual place where the race was about to start, and the race was at 5 a.m. in the morning, so it didn't really make sense to leave her place at 2. So I decided I'll just stay in the resort nearby. And then the day I got to Nainital, and before I got to realize that the house was like 3 hours away or something, there was a stream at just nearby my friend's house. So we went to chill there. We were just like lying in the river stream, and I lost my phone. Like, I had kept my phone on a rock, and then somebody called and my phone just plopped in there. And I don't know, I was just lying with my with my eyes closed and with my heads closed. And luckily I heard the plop, and I managed to sort of just pick up my phone before it just went away. But still, the phone wasn't really useful after that. So that was like the first bad thing that happened. And then we had taken off our shoes to get to the river, of course. So while we were going back, I stepped pretty hard on a rock, like on a tiny pebble. So that was the second bad thing that happened. And like, there was this series of just bad things that kept happening leading up to the marathon, the 10K. I keep calling it a marathon, but then it's really embarrassing because some of you might actually be runners, and you would make fun of me for like calling a 10K, which is like a fourth of a marathon, calling that a marathon. So sorry, I was before the 10K. Bad things kept happening before the 10K. So out of nowhere, like, my knee started hurting. So I have this really bad, this really weird condition in my knee where like it pops a lot, like it makes that popping sound, and it's nothing. It doesn't really hurt, but it just makes that popping sound. And like, when I was a kid, I had this X-ray done, and I came to know that I don't remember which knee. I think the right knee is like there's a slightly larger gap than there should be. So that randomly started hurting because it knew that a marathon was coming up. So that was, I think, 3 things. And then I couldn't find the place where it was supposed to happen up until like really late in the evening. So all the briefing was done, all the t-shirts had been distributed and stuff. And then when I finally got there, I came to know that the resort where the race was about to start was completely booked out. And I wasn't really planning on staying in the resort anyway because it was pretty expensive. So that felt like a good thing to me. But then I realized that there was nothing else in the vicinity of that resort for at least 5 kilometers. And then 5 kilometers away, I found another resort that was charging slightly less. So anyway, I was just out of my money and really in pain before my first 10K. But it was a beautiful place though. So it was nearby Jim Corbett, which is like this extremely forested area, extremely beautiful overall. So despite all of those shortcomings, or despite all of those obstacles, it was a pretty nice 10K. I would recommend that if you can register for a 10K or something, don't do your first one if you live in Delhi, don't do it in Delhi, because Delhi 10Ks are extremely different. After this 10K, I did the second one that I did was in Vegas Mall, Dwarka in Delhi, and you can just feel the air being different. So it's not as fun. I mean, you will still finish it, but it's just nowhere close to as fun as it is in the mountains, where you can breathe basically. So anyway, that 10K, it was the resort from where the 10K was about to start was inside like this forested area, right? Somewhat forested. So there were farms, and then there was a slight forest area where the resort was. So you were supposed to run out of the resort through the slight forest. There was a lot of mud there at the start. You were supposed to run from there to then through the farms, which was really pretty. Like, imagine not being able to see the trail that's like 500 meters away from you because it's just covered in crops. So you're just running blind, seeing just the trail that's like 100 meters in front of you. So you're running there, and then you got to a sort of paved area, which is just like a motorable road. And over there, we were supposed to run like 8 kilometers, I think. 8-ish kilometers. So it was really pretty. And then there were... I came to know that you need to like be very well hydrated a few days before the race and not just on the race day, because then I think like 3 kilometers into it, I had the worst headache I've ever had. So I'm just running with a hurting knee, a hurting sort of ankle, and then a headache. So yeah, I'm really brave actually. So anyway, I'm running. And then the worst part of running a 10K is, especially if you're going to some sort of established marathon, is that athletes come there, like actual athletes who don't have anything else going on in their life. They have made their money, they have everything settled, they're just here to run, and they want to show you that they are here to run. So I had these people who were running like 40Ks, 80Ks, and there was this one guy who was jagged, who was like 6'5", long hair, jagged, and he was running barefoot. He was running like a 50K, so 50 kilometers without any slippers, and he was just running. And then there were people who were running 20Ks. So how you're supposed to run is you usually have the midway point and then you come back from there. It's not a complete loop. So we had this 5 kilometer sort of checkpoint, after which we would run retrace our exact path back to the resort. And then the 10K people had the same, 15K people had the same at 7.5 kilometers. So anyway, I'm running. I'm trying to reach this 5 kilometer mark because I know that once I reach there, I'll have enough motivation to just get back to where I was. Because just hitting that 5K seems impossible at this point. It's just a long stretch of road with there are some views of like farms on either side and then some mountains in the distance, but nothing really that amazing to like sort of hold your mind. And then I had really shitty earphones in, so with every sort of footstep, my earphone would just try to slide out a little, so I couldn't really even listen to songs. So I was just bored and in pain and trying to hit that 5k mark, and then like drinking electrolytes at every single station available to me, just trying to get there. And what you'll see is people once like people will reach that 5k before you do, right? And I hadn't hit the 2.5k sort of mark. Like they have these boards in place that tell you that okay, you've run 2.5 kilometers so far. I hadn't hit that, and people were returning already, like from the 5k thing, and that will demotivate you a lot. That's just, it's like, why are you running so fast? It's just, life is a marathon, not a sprint. That's what they tell you. But then apparently people sprint marathons, so I don't think they got the memo. But anyway, before I reached the 5k point, people were returning from like 20ks. They had completed 10 kilometers of their run and they were returning. So they had technically completed over like 15 kilometers of their run, I think. I hope I'm wrong. So yeah, these really lean people who looked like those runners that you see from like Ghana or something. They were just here to run, and they were running. So anyway, I hit that 5k mark. That's weird. I don't know. It stopped recording for some reason. So anyway, I drink that electrolyte. I hit that sort of 10k mark, 5k mark, and then I'm trying to return. And then once you're returning, you will see people slower than you who are running up there, and that's really satisfying, because then you can look down upon them and you can be like, oh, if only you had practiced, or if only you had been athletic or taken care of your body a little bit, you would have been where I am today. So you get to see all these people just trying to, just huffing through the 5k. But at this point, like, why are you even doing this? Like, if you can't even hit the 5k mark without breaking a sweat, just don't do a 10k, is what goes through in your mind after you hit the 5k mark and you're just trying to get back. So anyway, I'm running back. I'm looking down at all these people who are just on the other opposite side of the road trying to reach the 5k mark. And at one point I'm completely gassed out. Like, I can feel it. I have no energy left in me. I have an insane headache, and I'm just somehow trying to not walk, because if I start walking, I'll just I don't know, I wouldn't have restarted running again. Restarted running, scratch the again, I would. So anyway, I'm going there, and there's this extremely old woman who must have been like 80 at least. At least her face was 80, and she was running the 10k as well. So I was almost at the 2.5k mark. So I had run like 7.5 kilometers, and she was crossing that 2.5k mark, just really happy, just trying to run slowly. And she gave me this really bright smile and like a thumbs up. And I don't know, it might seem like over exaggeration, but like when an really old woman just gives you a bright, cheerful thumbs up, you just something sparks up inside of you. I don't know, I was so happy. I was like, yeah, I'm going to finish this for you, grandma. So anyway, that was a really good, like, that was an insane moment that I haven't really experienced, I think, outside of a setting in which you're trying to finish like a physical pursuit. And she must have been a runner if she was still running at 80. So I think she understood that I was running my first 10k or something. I don't know. That was a really cool moment. I haven't really experienced that. So yeah. So anyway, I'm trying to run through it. I'm almost at the point where we were supposed to go from this motorable road back to the farmland where which would lead to the resort. And then this guy comes up next to me who had been running, I think he was on his 30K. So he had started an hour before we did. The 30K people had started an hour before we did. And they had to complete 2 loops. So 2 loops of 15 kilometers. And he was finishing up his first loop, right? And he came by and he saw me really struggling through the entire run. So he helped me sort of pace through it. He asked me to pace my run exactly as he was doing it. And we ran together up until the point where like you were supposed to enter the farmland. After which I couldn't really keep up. I had my head was just banging, so I decided I'll just walk for a while. And he was like, "Okay, cool. Just don't be an idiot next time." He said it very kindly though. He was a very I don't know. Athletes are very kind people. So he said it very kindly. He just wished me luck. Went ahead, sort of sprinted again to the to the resort so that he could start his loop again. And I just had a lot of electrolytes at his at this refueling station that was just outside the farm, and then somehow dragged myself to the finish line. And I didn't do as terribly as I had expected, but it was a pretty terrible timing. So anyway, and also apparently you're supposed to stretch after you're done with your run. And I reached there and I just stood upright. I was just standing, and everyone around me was just busy stretching. I was like, I didn't get it because I thought you're supposed to do that before your run. But then there was this man who had given me a lift up until the resort in the morning. So in the morning, I didn't have any sort of conveyance. I had reached there by bus. So I was planning on sort of just walking to the resort from where we were supposed to start. But you can't do that. I didn't want to waste 5 kilometers worth of energy before getting to the starting point of the race. So there was this other group of there were these 2 other people who were starting from the resort where I was staying at, and they had drove over from Noida, from Delhi NCR, if you're not aware of them. So they were going to drive up to the resort, so I managed to get a seat with them. And this is when I realized that running sort of is, you can't really tell who has a runner's body, because I was the guy who sort of was running another 10K with me. They were the two of them were seasoned runners. One of them was running 40K, I think 40 or 50K, and then the other guy was running a 10K with me. And the other guy was 5'5" or something. He was balding. He was bald, and he had just gotten hair plugs, so he hadn't been allowed to step out of the house for 3 weeks. And he had a big stomach, right? A big stomach, a double chin, not someone who you'd see on the street and consider a runner. And he told me how he sort of used to practice daily up until the point of his hair plug thing, after which he had to stop for the past 3 weeks, which is why he was in really bad shape. He hadn't left his bed for 3 weeks. And I was like, okay, I can defeat this guy. I was just planning on defeating that one guy. And that guy stood first in the 10K category. Young guys with the abs and shit, they lost to him. And he defeated them by 5 minutes or so, which doesn't sound a lot, but imagine 5 minutes of consistent running. And he did it more. He finished it in 45 minutes or something, which isn't a world class sort of timing, but still in that 10K he stood first. and he stood first across gender categories. So, like really thin girls who just looked like they were just professional athletes. They didn't manage to defeat him. So yeah, that was a really good lesson in not judging a book by its cover. I guess this is the moral episode. So far we've learned, do not judge a book by its cover, and old ladies give you energy. Oh, wait. Old women are good for motivation. I don't know, that just some variant of that doesn't sound bad. Just date older women is the second moral from is. Why do I try? Anyway, yeah, I also realized that this running as a sport is kind of elitist, because I didn't realize how much you have to spend on these 10Ks and stuff, because unless you're doing it in your home, in the city where you stay at, then you can just go there. And even then you can't really take public transport because they're usually held at 5 in the morning, so you will need to take an Uber or drive yourself there. So there goes a lot of money. And then if it is in like an exotic location, it will be in a place where you'll have to pay like a lot for resorts, like 3,000 for a night or something. And you don't need to pay that for running. I mean, just run. Like it's the simplest sport ever. You just walk faster and that's it. But still, I wasn't expecting the general sort of pool of athletes there to be this rich. uh, you know how some people just look like they have generational wealth. All of them look like they had generational wealth and all of them also spoke like they had generational wealth. So that was crazy. I just thought running would be like a normal everyman, like a layman sport, but apparently not. uh, and then I saw the same in the one I did in Delhi as well. And even though like Delhi one was more accessible because you didn't have to go to the mountains, and like which sort of cuts out everyone who isn't working remotely. Delhi one was more accessible, but still like the people there were also, they just generally were uh, were better off than I expected them to be, and also older. Like I was expecting younger people to be there, but nah, they were just business owners and stuff. So anyway, this guy, I was talking about stretching, right? This guy who had driven me, who stood first, he taught me that okay, you need to stretch after a run because otherwise it's just your muscles go extremely stiff. And I didn't believe him because what did he know? He was bald. But so yeah, I was, my entire body was stiff for the rest of the day, and then I had to travel on like state buses back to Delhi on that same day. That was fun as well. Anyway, I get back to the resort. So that same guy, he dropped me off, and then he had to go somewhere. So he dropped me off, and then in the room that where they were staying, there were two other people. Who this was a really sort of tragic moment for me. There were two other people who were just drinking at like 11 in the morning. They were just extremely drunk. They had probably drank through the night. So they invited me in. They handed me a drink. I didn't take the drink because I would have just vomited all over the place after the athletic performance that I had displayed. So anyway, I didn't take the drink. I just ate some of their food, and we started talking. And I asked them if they weren't running, and they were like, "Nah, we don't." Their tone sort of conveyed that no, we don't need to do all that shit. And then with like as the conversation progressed, I came to know that one of them owned colleges. So I was like, okay, yeah, you don't need to run at all. You don't need to do anything. Like if you own like something as rich as a college, do you really, what do you even do with your life at that point? Like if I had a college, do you think I would be making podcasts or something? Probably. I don't know. I've never owned a college, so I don't know. But yeah, he owned a college, and then he sort of dropped me off to a point where I could get like a rickshaw or something to the bus stand. So yeah, that was fun. And then my second 10K was just in Delhi, as I think repeated several times now. Uh, so yeah, that was just in Delhi. It was pretty bad. I came to know that Dwarka has a lot of mosquitoes in it. So when I run, you're not supposed to open your mouth when you're running, but then once you have you're completely gassed out, your mouth opens up because your body is just struggling for air. So I was just running with my mouth like this, and yeah, mosquitoes got inside is what I'm trying to convey. So yeah, that was my second one, and now I'm going to do a proper half marathon. So I've started training for that again, and I hope I'll be able to stick to it this time. It's likely that I'll sort of fall off because of all the things that I'm doing, which I wasn't doing during my previous run preparations. But I'll keep you posted, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I just realized that I'm well over time already, and I don't know. I had a bunch of stuff to talk about, like that Drake poetry book, but we can't do that right now. So anyway, I'll see you guys next week. I think I'll see you guys and gals next week. I need a better way to end these. I really just cutting it off it will become an overused joke at some point. So I don't